it's Jennifer from Flux. Welcome back to week 4 of our 2023 Fall Crochet Along. We have been hard at work on this gorgeous crochet pumpkin tower. This is a fun and happy little project for fall, and I hope you're making this along with me because this is just so much fun to make. We have been working on our pumpkins, which were 3 different rectangles that we're going to be seaming up today. And we also last week made some leaves and a stem to top it all off. So today we're going to take all those elements we've been working on. We've been hard at work crocheting, and we're going to take all the different parts and we're going to bring it together to make our little pumpkin tower here. So you should have, if you're going to assemble with me today, you should have crocheted a large rectangle, a medium rectangle, and a small rectangle, plus your stem and leaves. Now I did mention last week I'm doing 2 leaves, but some of you might want to tuck some in between your pumpkins and make more leaves. Feel free to do that. So today we'll seam up each pumpkin. We're going to start by seaming our pumpkins, and then we're going to stuff them, kind of cinch them up, and then create these with yarn, these little kind of indentations to make it look like a 3D pumpkin. Then we're going to take our pumpkins and stack them up and seam them so everything is connected, so it's all nice and sturdy. And then finally we're going to top it off with these cute little leaves on either side and the stem. Now again, you can place your leaves a little bit differently, but I kind of wanted to kind of frame mine in a little bit. Okay, so we're going to jump right in and start assembling. Now once again, if you haven't joined our Ravelry group and our Facebook group, the links are down below for that. That's a fun place to jump in and hang out. It's really fun to see what everybody's doing and to comment. And you can ask questions. There's a lot of really experienced crocheters in there, and it's just a fun, positive place to share your work. So without further ado, let's jump right in and work on our pumpkin and get it all assembled so you can put it out for fall. So let's talk about these rectangles first. I also have a giant bag of this off camera. You can hear the crinkle, but I have a big bag of it for all this stuff. So we did 3 rectangles. We did a large orange rectangle for our biggest bottom pumpkin. Then we did a medium green rectangle for our medium middle pumpkin of our tower. And then we did a small gold rectangle for the top small pumpkin, okay? So we're going to put the pumpkins together first. We're going to build them, or rather seam them, build them, and then we'll add all the little accessories. I also have a tapestry needle. You want a decent size because this yarn is pretty plushy. And then any scrap yarn you had left over from making this stuff, you can see I used up more colors faster than others, but we're going to use these pieces of scrap yarn to seam everything up as well. So keep that scrap yarn handy because we will be using it quite a bit today. So I still have it's getting to be kind of a mess here, but I still have my yarn connected. I haven't fastened off for any of my rectangles. So let's make a rectangle together. We're going to make this little pumpkin together. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my hook. Now I said we wouldn't really need the hook. You're just going to need it for this part. I'm going to grab my hook and we're going to cut a long tail, probably I would say maybe 2 feet long, 3 feet long, pretty long, because we're going to do some seaming here and cut. Okay. And then, now I like to pull those crumbs off the back end because it keeps it from shedding. So then what we want to do is wrap the yarn around our hook and pull it all the way through. And that's really all you're going to use your hook for today, unless you plan on adding some more leaves. So pull it all the way through just to fasten that off, okay? The neat thing about sewing things up and seaming them together is you can tuck all the ends in the middle. So let's go back to the end here. Make sure there's no knots in it. It gets a little tangly sometimes. And we're going to thread our needle. And then what you'll want to do is fold your rectangle in half. Okay? So we want to fold it in half, and we're going to do a whip stitch. We're going to go all the way down and over, and then we'll leave the top open for stuffing. Okay? So just sandwich it together, and we're just going to go and sandwich it just like that. And I know the tail is very long right now, but it'll shorten the more we seam, okay? And we're going to probably have a little bit of leftover to kind of cinch the top up, okay? So just go through there and whip stitch all the way down, and then we're also going to whip stitch along the bottom to close up the bottom as well. Okay, so just do that. Okay, so we're going to keep whip stitching down the side here like this, and then when we get to the bottom, when we round this corner, we're going to switch over to like a running stitch so it'll enable us to cinch it a little bit easier. Okay, now we seamed all the way down, and we're going to round the corner here and switch the stitch that we will be using. So I'm just going to come around here with my needle. Again, I have a long tail. I'd rather have too much than not enough. And then we want to switch to a running stitch because the whip stitch is harder to cinch up, but the running stitch is a little bit easier. So all we're going to do for that is go down and up. I'm going through both layers like this, down and up, okay, and that's the running stitch. Just a really basic sewing stitch, okay? And we're just going to do this all the way across the bottom here, okay? And then just pull it like that. Okay, now we have our running stitch, and you're just going to cinch it closed, okay? Now we have our other tail, and this makes it real easy because you can just tie it right on. Just like that. Okay, again, like I mentioned before, we do not have to worry about the tails. So you can just cut that right off and not even worry about it. It's going to be on the inside of the pumpkin. So flip it back around and get it kind of straightened out here. And now we have the beginnings of a pumpkin. It looks like a cup, okay? So keep your tail handy because we're going to use that. I'm going to just cut it down a little bit. But we're going to use that to cinch up the top now, okay? Now, I'm going to grab some of my fiberfill. Like I said, I have a giant bag of this down here, and I'm just going to stuff some fiberfill right in this pumpkin. And this is surprisingly not messy. You'd think it would be a lot messier, but it's surprisingly not that bad. Okay, now I don't want to overstuff it like we talked about when we did the stem. So just to get it some nice plumpness. You don't want to underfill it either because it'll look sort of deflated. Okay, so just kind of, and you can kind of straighten it out while it's in the pumpkin like that. And you can also stuff a little bit right before you cinch. Okay, so what we're going to do is go and do a running stitch all around the edge now of our pumpkin. Just like this. And you can kind of pull it through if it's getting a little bit cumbersome. But we're just going to go all around the edge of our pumpkin. Like that. Until we get to the other side. Now it's going to kind of look like a lemon for now until we shape it up more. But I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay. And then you want to go in with your tail to the middle part. Okay. And we still have another tail here where we started. So do one more test to see if it has enough filling. I think I'm pretty good with the filling. And then you're going to pull it shut and use that other tail to tie it up. Okay, just like that. Okay, now we can use this tail to do our shaping. Okay, so now it's just sort of a ball. And some pumpkins are actually shaped very much like a circle like this. But we want to just shape it up a little bit. And then we're going to add some like divots in it to make it look more like a pumpkin. So we already have our tail originating from the center. So we're just going to wrap it around our pumpkin and go back up under through the middle and take our needle and come up through the middle. Okay, just like that. And when you pull it tight, not too tight, you don't want to break the yarn, but when you pull it tight, it'll give you that nice little pumpkin dent. Okay, now wrap it around again and do the same thing. See how I'm holding it in place as I do it? It makes it a million times easier if you do that. Okay, and then just pull it to give it that shape, that iconic pumpkin shape. Okay, give it another wrap. You want to make your segments pretty even. Pull it up through there and pull it, snug it up. And then see how we have another one? We're going to do another wrap and do it one more time, just like that. Give it that Okay, and then when you're done your last segment, if you end up at the top, you can tie it to one of these tails. If you ended up at the bottom, that's okay. Just go over a little bit, not in the same place where you came out, but just hop over a little bit and just bring it back up, okay? And then what you'll do is just tie the top here, nice and sturdy. And then we can weave these ends in. So you'll want to repeat that for your other two pumpkins. So I'm going to grab my green one and do my green one next. Now you will have to kind of shape things up a little bit, fluff it up, get that nice pumpkin shape with all those segments like defined. So you want to just shape it up a little bit, okay? So we're going to put this one aside and we're going to work on the green one. So you just want to do the same exact thing that you did for the yellow one, except for it's just a little bit bigger. But I like to aim for 5 segments for my pumpkin. Now, as you get bigger, it might be a little bit more segments because it has more circumference, but you can work that how you want. If you want them to all match, you can do it that way. So I'm just going to cut the yarn and seam and do the same thing. I'm just going to repeat what I did for this gold pumpkin. So I finished all the pumpkins. We started with our gold and then I did a green one and an orange one. Now, if you notice the way I did the yarn, each one of these has 5 segments, okay? If you want more segments, if you want it to be more sectioned off, you know, you can do it however you want. But I did 5 for each of mine. So when we stack these, what we're going to do next is stack these up and get a piece of our scrap yarn and stitch it together so that they stay connected. And then we're going to add our, remember last week we made our leaf and our 2 leaves and our stem. We're going to add those to the top, okay? So let's start by just taking a scrap piece of yarn. I would say this is about 24 inches or so, and we're going to cut it. And remember, just pull that little crumb edge off and it keeps it from shedding. Okay, now thread your needle, and what we'll do is we're going to start connecting these pumpkins. So get them stacked how you want them to be. You can just find your favorite, like the front side that is your favorite, and just kind of lay them that way. You can line up the segments if you want to, or you can kind of like make them go not symmetrical, I guess you could say. Okay, so I found the fronts of mine that I like the best. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to go down through the middle of this first pumpkin. We're going to do a few passes all the way through the entire piece. I'm going to go through this first pumpkin with my yarn and I'm going to pull it almost all the way through. Leave a little tail at the top there. And then I'm going to go into my next pumpkin. And this first pass will allow you to sort of swivel everything and get it all into place the way you want it to look, okay? Now see, I'm kind of doing this upside down. So I'm going to like put it down like that. Make sure you have your tail at the top. And then take the third pumpkin and just go right down the middle with that. Now see how there's a little gap here? That's okay. That all is going to get covered up, okay? So I'm just going to take my third pumpkin and add that one to the mix. Just like that. Now, we want to, don't pull it all the way through because you have to start over. We want to, at this point, turn your pumpkin right side out and just make sure everything is lined up exactly how you want it to be lined up, okay? Now, hold them carefully and flip it over, and we're going to kind of go off to the side a little bit, and we're going to come back up. Now, you can pull them apart at this point. There will be a point where they'll be connected and you won't be able to. So this is kind of the last pass where they'll be, you can kind of go in between them, okay? Now go up through this middle one, just off of where the last strand went. And be very careful this one doesn't fall off the front. You just kind of hold everything into place, just like that, okay? And now set that up. I'm going to pull it tight, not too tight, but pull it up snug so it's positioned. And then bring this last piece up, and this guy is a little bit smaller, so it's a little bit more snug in the middle, and bring that all the way up, okay? Now, get them positioned how you want, and then take your, if you want to do a couple more passes, feel free to do that, but I think they're okay. And we're just going to tie that right down the middle here, okay? Now, we're going to add a stem and some leaves next. So I'm just going to leave this just like this and snip it, okay? We can have a little bit of an end there because it'll be hidden, okay? So our pumpkin stack is assembled. It looks amazing, okay? I love it. Now let's grab our stem, and you want to kind of just shape it up if you need to. And we already have tails. We thought ahead and left some tails on there, okay? So grab your stem, shape it up how you want, and just put it right there in the middle. Just kind of put it right in there, okay? Now, you're just going to carefully go through here, pick up some stitches out from our pumpkin. See how I'm grabbing some stitches there? And we're just going to kind of do this all the way around. It's going to hide any mechanics of our stem or the top of our pumpkin. Make sure when you do each pass that you're picking up a few stitches from the pumpkin and a few stitches from the stem, okay? This yarn, if you use this plushy chenille yarn like I'm using, it's very, very forgiving, so it does hide quite a bit. So make sure you get both stitches from your pumpkin, both stitches from your stem. Okay, and I'm going to do, there's one more pass here I'll do. Just like that, and then let's do one more. You want it to be secure. You might need to fold your stem over like I'm doing just to see what you're doing here. Okay, and get that nice and tacked down so it feels secure. Now go in your stem towards the bottom and pull it almost all the way through, and then pull it the rest of the way, okay? And now your stem is secure. And then to weave in the end, you can just go down into your pumpkin like this and come out at any random spot with your needle. And then give it a snip. See, right outside the pumpkin here, just give it a tug and a snip, and then it'll sort of disappear because you pulled it tight. Okay, so you could leave your pumpkin as is. It looks really cute just like that. But I want to do a few accent leaves. Okay, so find the front once again. This is my favorite side of this pumpkin here. So we're going to grab our leaves. And I'm going to lay this on its side a little bit just so you can see it. But you want to position your leaves first. Figure out if you want the green one in the front and the orange one in the back, or if you want them like side by side like this. I'm going to do two off to the side. And I think I'm going to put the orange one in the front like that. Okay, I'm going to sort of do them stacked. Okay? Okay, so grab your needle and we're going to grab our first leaf. You want to do the bottom one first. So this one's sort of overlapping this one. You want to figure out how you want it to overlap. So let's do our orange one first. I'm going to thread my needle once again. And it's not quite in the right spot. So you want to take your needle and kind of carry it to the bottom. Go using those back loops. Go to the bottom of your leaf just to get your needle in the right spot. Now, tuck it in there how you want it to go. And what I like to do is sort of fold this down, and we're just going to do a couple stitches in the back like this, okay? Now this is the back, so this part won't show. Okay, so I'm just going to take a few stitches here. I'm folding this leaf flat so that I can see what I'm doing. Okay, I'm just going to do like 4 or 5 stitches right across the back here. Kind of dig around for the pumpkin's lower, so you want to kind of dig around for those stitches. And then once you're done, pull it almost all the way through, send it through that loop, and pull snug. Okay? Once again, you can take your needle, send it through any random part of your pumpkin, pull it tight, and then give it a tug and a snip, and then you can get those crumbs kind of out of the way. Okay, now our first leaf is on there. You can just kind of get everything positioned how you want it to go. Now, if it's not laying right, you can just sort of put another little well-placed stitch in there, okay? You could sort of like tack it down on whatever side. Okay, let's do our next leaf. I'm going to thread that needle. I think the top view looks pretty too. So we're going to once again, get our tail to the right location, which is the bottom of the leaf where we want to sew it. And then get it nice and snugged in there. See how I'm just sort of like putting them back here because I have like a front view. I'm sort of doing it like that. But it's up to you how you want to position them. Now spin it around and fold that leaf forward so that you can sew it in there, okay? So just do a couple of nice well-placed stitches just across the back here. We now sort of have a very defined front and back to our pumpkin tower. Okay, just do a couple of stitches just right along the bottom just to get it in nice and tacked down. You can do a test and flip it back up and make sure it's in the right spot. Okay, everything has been seamed and you can just kind of shape everything up. Again, you can sharpen the points of those leaves and get everything shaped up. It's all nice and secure and all sewn together. So our project is complete. It looks absolutely adorable and it's ready to put out for your fall decor. This also makes a lovely gift as well. So I hope you enjoyed this crochet along. Again, these videos and tutorials will be up forever. You can go back anytime. You could do different color combinations and revisit this project at any time. So that is how you make a crochet pumpkin tower. Thanks so much for watching and be sure and click the subscribe button to get all the latest Fiber Flux video updates. Thanks again.